Yes, I know this is probably a very predictable video, and you probably did guess that I was going to make this video at some point, not necessarily now, but if I'm being honest, the football soccer community are literally showing just how clueless they are when it comes to these types of situations. Because, oh my god, if I'm being brutally honest, Ten Hag has not managed this situation very well. And all the people coming out saying he's managed this perfectly, he's dealt with this perfectly, they are absolutely clueless on how to deal with these sort of situations. I mean, he had every right to suspend Ronaldo for walking out against Tottenham because, let's be honest, Ronaldo shouldn't have done that. But you can't just go and act like Ten Hag hasn't brought this on himself with how he's dealt with the situation. And obviously, me saying, oh, he has every right to suspend him, and then obviously you're probably going to think, oh, you're just backing Ronaldo. I'm not fully backing Ronaldo. I'm just looking at it from his perspective. That's literally all I'm doing. I'm looking at it from both perspectives, which is why I'm really down the middle with it. But to start with, putting a player like Ronaldo's calibre on the bench after like one bad performance is stupid anyway. I mean, that's where really all of this started. Ronaldo had a bad game and he was put on the bench. I mean, before, when he refused to, I think he refused to go on a pre-season tour or 2 pre-season tours, and then he was put on the bench, I think, for the first game, and then the second game he had one bad game and then he's benched. I mean, that's a big issue. If you're going to bench Ronaldo for having one bad game, and then you're not going to bench players like Sancho, Bruno and Fred, just to name a few, that are incredibly inconsistent, then of course Ronaldo's going to have a problem. And yeah, Ronaldo has an ego, just like every great player has an ego. And all of this can be seen to be very disrespectful to Ronaldo, because it is. You've benched Ronaldo for having one bad game, but you refuse to bench anyone else. I mean, you're not setting a very good precedent there. You literally make it look like you have something against Ronaldo, which, let's be honest, he probably does. But yeah, so it can be seen as disrespectful. That is a very... I just don't see why people attack you when you say, oh, Manchester United disrespecting Ronaldo, because they are. Literally, they have not given him a chance to show that he can really get anywhere near where he was last season, because they haven't given him an extended run of games when he starts. He's coming on for 20 minutes, then he's playing in midweek, then he's on for 10-20 minutes for about a month, and then he's playing again. I mean, he's not going to be that consistent. Anyone who knows sport will know playing inconsistently, especially at an older age, doesn't help. You're not going to be as good. And the next thing, whether you like it or not, Ten Hag has thrown Ronaldo under the bus. In that press conference where he was asked, I think he was asked if Ronaldo refused to come on, Ten Hag just goes, yes. So that is literally throwing the player under the bus. I don't care what you say. He should have said, that's between me and Ronaldo. He shouldn't have said anything regarding that situation until he spoke with Ronaldo, at least, even if he wants to say something. After you've spoken with Ronaldo, that's usually what happens. But obviously Ten Hag hasn't had to deal with players of Ronaldo's calibre before, so he's not going to do it that well. And it also doesn't help that people go around kissing his ass because, oh, he suspended Ronaldo. It's like, well, he had to do that. But he hasn't dealt with it very well after the fact, basically revealing to everyone that Ronaldo refused to come on. And obviously, I said he hasn't spoken to Ronaldo either. So he's kind of showing that he's not bothered about what Ronaldo thinks, which, he should be. He's one of his players. He should be talking to him about this. He should be trying to find out why he's acting, how he's acting. He's not respecting Ronaldo really in any way possible. And the funny thing is, one of his own players, really, Bruno Fernandes, actually came out when he was asked about the situation. He literally just said to the reporter, we don't talk about that. And I know Bruno is Ronaldo's teammate for Portugal, but that is how you respond in this situation. Until you've actually kind of fleshed out what's going on with Ronaldo, what's going on in his head, because obviously we all know what happened last season with his son, and that is a horrible thing to happen, and that could still be looming in his head. That might be part of why his head isn't in the right place. So he he needs to talk to Ronaldo, but he just doesn't seem like he wants to. However, despite the bad press, not every single, well, not all the people have turned on Ronaldo. And the thing is, it's a lot of the former players that are coming out, not necessarily backing Ronaldo. They're just seeing it from his perspective. I hate this, how the media is saying that, I think it's mainly Rio Ferdinand and Roy Keane, oh, they're backing Ronaldo. They're not backing Ronaldo. They just see it from his perspective because they're former players. And I have no problem with them coming out and really taking a different viewpoint and telling us as fans what is happening, what could potentially be happening in his head. And what the stupid thing is, what people then do is, this is incredibly hypocritical. All of the big kind of United fans on YouTube and things like that, they'll come out and attack these former players when they kind of come across and put forward the situation that could be going on with Ronaldo's perspective. Like, literally, you are so hypocritical. I think Mark Goldbridge came out and criticised Roy Keane. He literally came out and criticised Roy Keane for not basically taking the fans' side or whatever, or supporting the fans. I mean, that is so stupid. Roy Keane shouldn't have to do that. Roy Keane shouldn't have to agree with the fans all the time. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the things that the fans say just don't really make any sense anyway. So backing the fans just doesn't make any sense, especially as a former player, because they're not going to have that viewpoint that you have. So that is probably one of the stupidest comments I've ever heard. The biggest issue, which is what I've just touched on really, with people, especially the fans, is they look at it from a fan's perspective. They never even bother to look at it from Ronaldo's perspective. So if you just look at it from a fan's perspective, you're not really going to get the bigger picture. And you're being incredibly narrow-minded, which is what a lot of the players do. No, sorry, it's what a lot of the fans do. They're incredibly narrow-minded and they just think about what they want. And they don't think about what's going on with Ronaldo, the fact that he's incredibly frustrated about the situation, which he has every right to be. We don't know if he's finished because we haven't seen him have an extended run of games. So how do we know how good he is? So he's going to be frustrated. He shouldn't obviously walk down the tunnel near the end of a game. You know, that's him showing his frustration. So back to really what I said earlier, Ten Hag has brought this on himself. I mean, obviously what I said earlier in the video, dropping him after one bad game and then not selling him when he had the chance, he's brought this on himself because the longer he's kept Ronaldo, the more and more and more, well, the worse this has got. And he should have sold him in the summer when he obviously should have sold him in the summer. Like, it is incredibly unfair to keep Ronaldo at a club he doesn't want to be at, that he's not playing for. I mean, Ronaldo wants to play, so you should respect his wishes and get him off to another club. And just like Roy Keane said, it's rubbish that he didn't have options. A player like Ronaldo had options. It's just that the media doesn't want to put that narrative forward necessarily. And also, the club aren't going to come out and say he's got options, are they? So I just don't really understand why people are saying he's dealt with this perfectly, because there's so many flaws in what he's done. And it's like, I like him as a manager, I just don't think he's being very consistent, to be honest. I mean, I like the fact he lays down all of like his principles and everything, which is good, which is what really I think we've been missing. It's just he needs to do them more consistently. If you're going to drop players for having one or two bad games, you need to drop the players for having one or two bad games. You can't drop certain players and then not drop others. So Ronaldo has every right. It's completely understandable why he feels this way. Also, another thing that people have been saying, oh, the team's better without Ronaldo. How do you know if the team's better without Ronaldo? I mean, once again, he hasn't had an extended run of games in the team, so we don't know how good the team is with Ronaldo. So how the hell are you going to know how good we are without Ronaldo? I mean, just because he doesn't perfectly fit into the system doesn't mean that can't be adapted. And if Ten Hag was the great manager that everyone thought he was, he'd find a way for Ronaldo to be integrated into the system, apart from bringing him on with 10 minutes to go, because Ronaldo has a lot more use than that. also, when he brings Ronaldo on, the problem there is the team's not as energised. The team doesn't want to go forward as much because a lot of the time we've been winning, and the team sits back, which goes to show where the mentality of the team's at. That's neither here nor there. Like, Ten Hag should have found a way by now to integrate Ronaldo really into the starting 11. Like, he doesn't have to play in the striker position. But moving on to the next point, I do still think Ronaldo really is probably our best striker. I mean, if you look at the strikers, we've got Marcus Rashford, who I don't think. Well, a lot of people have said they don't think he's a striker, and I don't really think he is a striker. He's just not. He's not a very good striker. He has a very good name. He has a very good game every now and then, just like he showed against Arsenal and like he did against Liverpool. But that's not good enough, really. He needs to be a lot more consistent. And then we have Anthony Martial, who, to be honest, I do think has really improved since he's come back off loan. However, his fitness doesn't seem to be there. I think the first game he started, Ronaldo had to be brought on because Martial couldn't last half an hour. So he's not there yet. And then obviously you've got Ronaldo, who literally carried, well, him, Varane and De Gea all carried the team last season. And now Ronaldo isn't really getting his fair chance. I mean, he obviously, like I say, deserved to be suspended, but in my opinion, he's the best striker we've got, and we're benching him. We're literally benching him, which just makes zero sense because it's escalating the situation. So if he isn't sold in January, then, like, literally, I don't really see how you can say Ten Hag has dealt with this perfectly. He hasn't dealt with it perfectly up to now. If he dealt with it perfectly, Ronaldo would have been gone by now. At worst, they would have released him from his contract. Because if he is as bad as everyone's saying he is, he shouldn't be on the team. But, you know, obviously the media loves to slander Ronaldo any chance they get. And something else that I recently came across is that apparently Ronaldo and Ten Hag are sitting down to talk today. I mean, this is just stupid. Why are you doing this now? You've literally disrespected Ronaldo, and then so you've disrespected Ronaldo, and months later, just after you've punished him for lashing out, which, like I've said 100 times, but I'm going to have to say this again, he should have been suspended. I don't disagree with that, but months and months after you've let this situation just get worse and worse, now you want to sit down with him. I mean, why should Ronaldo sit down with you? You're clearly not in his plans. Ronaldo said already that he wants to leave, so just let him leave. Don't try and convince him to stay in a system where you're not going to play him. Ronaldo still has the ability to play, and he should be starting for at least a very good team, if not a top tier team. So just sitting down to talk with him is pointless at this point, because the manager, Ten Hag, has let this situation just go to where it has. And then he's taken the necessary action. Everyone thinks he's done a brilliant job because he's taken the necessary action. But obviously, you know, situations like that don't happen a lot in this sport, so people wouldn't really know how to deal with this perfectly. However, those are just my thoughts really on not necessarily the Ronaldo situation, but how Ten Hag has dealt with it as well. You're probably going to disagree with me, and if I'm honest, I couldn't care less, because you're probably just a really emotional fan, which that's fine. But if you do disagree with me, just put it in the comments and maybe we can have a civilized discussion. But if you did get to the end of the video, thank you. You can actually listen to another viewpoint. Once again, leave in the comments what you think. If you agree with me, then to be honest, that's great. I'm not the only one who thinks this. And thank you for watching / listening to the video, and hopefully I will see you in another video.